Hi there, my name is John Holden. I graduated from the University of Connecticut in 1992 with a bachelor's degree in ornamental horticulture. In 1993, I started Land Designs Unlimited. I design, install, and maintain landscapes for homeowners in Upper Fairfield County, Connecticut. Today, I'd like to share my passion with you. How you doing today, folks? You know, about 3 years ago I made a video about how to prune Hydrangea paniculata, or the PeeGee Hydrangea, and I'll put a link to that video right here. But the tree that I pruned in that video was a very large, it wasn't overgrown, but it was a very large established tree. So this spring I got a call from a lady in Fairfield, Connecticut who asked me to come out and prune her hydrangea. And it was she had one Tardiva and she had one PeeGee Hydrangea, and they had been in the ground for maybe 8 or 10 years, and she said that she never pruned them because she didn't know how to prune them. And I kind of chuckle as I say that, but don't get me wrong, when I first got out of school there were some shrubs that I would just hold off on pruning because I didn't know how to prune them. So today I want to show you how to prune a PeeGee Hydrangea, Hydrangea paniculata Grandiflora. And it could be Hydrangea paniculata Tardiva, and there's a new one called Limelight as well, that's only been in the ground. I think these trees have been in the ground for maybe 2 years or so. And it is planted as a standard. And just, you know, to kind of show you what these plants look like, I'm going to put another video right here. And I did a video about how to prune inkberry holly last summer. And in the backdrop, you saw these shrubs in full bloom. So if you just take a look at the video up here, you can kind of see what this looked like when it was in bloom. The first thing we want to do is remove the old flowers. That's important. The second thing we want to do is open the plant up a bit. You don't want to have just a congestion of foliage. If you ever see an older PeeGee Hydrangea, they just get so congested with foliage that they're ugly. They're beautiful in bloom, but for the rest of the year they're ugly. There's just so much foliage. So we want to open things up a bit. How do we open things up a bit? Well, any branches that go back in towards the center of the shrub we're going to prune out. We're going to cut back the new growth a bit so this thing doesn't just get huge. The one in Fairfield I pruned, after not being pruned for 10 years, there was nowhere to prune back to. All the branches were so tall and lanky because it just kept reaching for light as the shrub grew that I had to just cut the whole plant back hard and then let it regrow. So we're going to open things up a bit. Any crossing branches we're going to take out, branches growing towards the center we're going to take out, and then we can actually cut them back, and depending on how far we cut back on the buds of the hydrangea, we can control how much it grows. When I say standard, what I mean is any shrub that's been trained into a single stem, and then anywhere from 3 to 4, maybe 5 feet off the ground, it opens up. You'll see that on hydrangeas, you'll see that on lilacs sometimes. That's what a standard is. So this shrub only has foliage from about here up. So while we want to prune the flowers out, that's probably going to be the thing I do last, because by the time we finish doing the rest of the pruning, they're probably going to be mostly gone anyways. Here's an example of a branch that's growing back into the center of the plant, so we'll come in and just cut that right out. Here's some dead wood, we'll cut that out. Here's dead wood growing back into the middle, cut that out. You want to prune your PeeGee hydrangeas in the winter from the time the leaves fall off until, I mean, you can go until the new growth is 2 to 3 inches long and you'll be fine, but you want to get them when they're dormant. Number one, it's easier to see inside the shrub, but number two, you don't want to give them too big of a shock when they've already got their growth. PeeGee hydrangeas are going to bloom on the current season's growth. Now, I just don't like the way this one's growing. Yeah, that's how picky I am. This one is kind of coming out away from the shrub. It's not, I want to have kind of an upright vase habit, so I'm going to take this one off just to clean it up a bit. Most of your dead branches are branches that are the weaker ones. So when you're pruning, don't be afraid to just cull out the weak branches, because they're really going to they're just going to end up dying anyways. And the weaker branches, the best flowers come from your really strong, vigorous branches. So there's no real reason to leave all these weak branches. If you take a look at the branch right here, you'll notice that right here, I think this was a flower last year, but wherever you cut, there's going to be 2 buds coming. Okay, here's a cut, and you see how there's 2 buds? They'll still grow new growth on old wood. So even though here, you know, wherever you see the buds, there used to be a leaf here, but wherever you see, like on this one, it's like every 3 or 4 inches, wherever you see a bump, which is where leaves were, if I cut just above that bump, you're going to get new buds. And you can see this one is just starting to bud out. So once we go through and cut all of our branches that are crossing, dead, growing into the middle, then we can cut this hydrangea to control its height and to keep it more bushy and compact. If this shrub isn't pruned, all these buds are going to grow, and it's going to get huge, number 1, but it's just going to be a mess of growth, number 2, just a mess. So the next thing we're going to do, once we've gone through and cut out any crossing branches, is take a look at the shrub, and we want to knock it down a bit. And if you look at the tip of these branches, wherever there's a tip, there's a lot of really fragile new growth. It's not hardy, vigorous growth. So what I'm going to end up doing is basically cutting back till we see some nice new hardy growth. And you know, some of these, I'm going to take most of these back 3 or 4 buds. So here's one I just cut. So we've got some buds up here, but they're kind of weak. This is a pretty strong bud, this is a pretty strong bud, but to control growth, I cut it just above the 2 buds here, which are nice and strong. You know, take a look at the plant and see if you can find one where the buds are laying, where they're going to grow outside the plant, because you want your new growth to come facing out, and we always favor the thicker, the more hardy looking stems. Okay, here's another weak one, gone. This one is going towards the center, but it might kind of shoot towards the front, so we'll leave that. And that one, nice bud going towards the center, but these ones, the buds are going to come out sideways. We'll cut at that. Take that one above some buds. Take that one above some buds. Kind of weak, so we'll cut that one off, and this one's kind of weak too. So that is how your Hydrangea paniculata is supposed to look if you give it a good pruning in the spring. Now for every tip you see here, you're going to end up getting 2 buds at the tip, and then some of the buds farther back will start growing too. The plant has still grown, we've still pruned it farther out, and next year we might prune it a little farther out, or if we want to keep it the same, we'll prune it back in. But you know, there's no reason to have in front of this beautiful house to have a hydrangea that's so big you can't see the house. But if you do this, I promise you, we'll come back later in the year, we'll take a video of the same shrub, I'll show you how it grows in. But if you do this with your shrubs, I promise you they're going to be fine, they're going to be happy, they're going to thrive. As opposed to if you just kind of like let them be because you don't really know what to do. Now if it's your first time, I know you're going to be nervous about it, and that's okay. Just take it a step at a time. If you want to leave more foliage up top, that's fine. But the way we learn in horticulture is we try things and we see how they go. And if I cut all these back farther, you would see that new growth and you would realize it's going to come back. So then the next year maybe you take a little bit less. But this is what you want to see. This is 3 years old, 3 years it's been in the ground. The shrub is clearly older than 3 years, but this is what you want to see. So hey, thanks a lot for watching, folks. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to put them below here on YouTube. And you know, folks, you can do this. You can definitely do this. Have a great day.